The Halloween franchise is one of the most troubled series of movies maybe ever. In one breath, you have these really good movies and one masterpiece versus somewhat decent movies with a few stinkers. This has been one of the most troubled franchises ever. I mean, it really is. Like, for it to have such a high pedigree, it seems like you'll get. Here's how it goes. Reboot. We get a new Halloween movie. Everyone's excited. Oh, that gets good reviews, and then an immediate sequel to that one comes out, and then it bottoms the fuck out. Rinse and repeat for 40 years, and that's how I can explain the entirety of the Halloween franchise. But this video is just going to be me just kind of talking briefly about each one and kind of going over, which ones are my favorites, which ones are my least favorites, which one I think are, deserve more credit, which ones I think deserve least credit. It's just a Halloween list, man. What do you want from me? All right, so first up is, of course, Halloween. There's 3 instances in this franchise where there's a movie that is literally titled Halloween. It gets old. But at least we're talking about the first movie, and it deserves the title Halloween more than those other ones. And I really hate when studios just use the title of the original movie without any differentiation between what makes our new movie different from the old one, because then again we wouldn't be profiting off of this nostalgia bait shit. But anyways, I digress. So Halloween 1978, perfect movie. It's a masterpiece. It's one of my favorites ever. The character development it's not overly complicated. They're likable enough. They're believable people. Just these young people trying to, with their young people problems, getting stalked by, the epitome of evil itself. And it is great. Like, John Carpenter and company just knocked it out of the park. Halloween has been talked about, and it will be talked about to the end of time, of just how it's just a miracle. Just one of those movies that it's such a good success story, because not only did it change everyone's lives and start several amazing careers, but it has just lasted through the decades. It's timeless. It's a timeless story of real just nerve-wracking horror, and it's got a place in my heart. This is a movie that me and my dad used to watch, and he turned me on to it. It's kind of like me and my mom, we watch Jaws. That's kind of mine and her movies. Halloween is mine and Dad's favorite horror movie. You know what I mean? Yeah, everyone should have that kind of sharing experience with movies. Great movie. Halloween 2. This is the best sequel of the entire franchise. It's the only one I could really say is on par with the original on a production, level. Like, it really does feel like a direct continuation of the first movie, because it is. But in a lot of ways, it's better. The shots are even better. That the cinematography is perfect. Just in a way, it's even more just violent as far as like the kills. It's more just to a certain degree, it might be scarier. Depending on it just feels like it's ramping up the carnage to its ultimate finale, which is just this blaze of glory. Just say whatever you want, but most people do lump the first 2 movies together because this sequel is so good. It really is among the best horror sequels that has ever been made. And that horror has a problem with sequels, so that's saying something. And sadly, this franchise, has its problems with sequels too. In hindsight, this is where it should have ended. I mean, just the boogeyman burns to death, and what more is there to say, You'd be surprised. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. This is not part of the Michael Myers continuity at all. It's just a movie about television killing people somehow. It's a good movie. I mean, it's not great. It doesn't doesn't have a real lasting impact, but it's still a solid film. This is where the franchise was trying to sort of switch gears and become an anthology, kind of like what American Horror Story is today. This is what Halloween was, trying to do back then. And honestly, I wish they would have did that. That would have been great. Instead of just kind of slogging back and forth, trying to make the Michael Myers, canon work. And that's literally what the franchise has been doing for the last 30 years, is trying to repair and fix the continuity. Oh, forget these movies. This one's the canon now. And it just turned into a mess after a while. But with Season of the Witch, it at least tried to honor, the way the story ended in 2 and start something new. And, maybe Season of the Witch would have got a continuation in Halloween 4 if the anthology thing would have worked, but unfortunately it didn't. It failed. It didn't make money. And so... So what do you think they called the next installment of the franchise? Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Yeah, he's back. Somehow he's back. Somehow he survived being set on fire, and he's doing okay. He's good. And Loomis too. Somehow Loomis survived that shit too. Don't ask me. But either way, they're back. The star players are back, and and I gotta tell you, the story doesn't make sense. It does not make sense in this movie, but that would be my only gripe with this movie, because even though it doesn't make sense, even though it has no reason to exist, it's still a blast. This is a fucking awesome movie. I love Halloween 4. I really do. It's got a special place in my heart. I remember watching it as a kid and just being so gripped with suspense, because this time it's there's a little kid named Jamie who is being hunted by the boogeyman, and I feel like those stakes are even scarier than the previous movies, because it's you got a teenager who's good at who's smart, who can fend for herself a little bit, but then now you got this little kid and who's more vulnerable, and you're watching it as a kid, and it's just oh shit, I identify with this kid. This is the one where I started having nightmares, because just seeing the boogeyman, one of the scariest characters that's ever been created, pursuing this innocent for no reason, no one can understand. It's genuinely just one of the biggest right turns in the franchise. I really love this movie for that. And the characters are great. God bless the writers for actually giving time to these characters to develop them and to make them matter, and to when a character dies, it matters. You know what I mean? It isn't just another slasher film, although there are plenty of slashing. This was a fun sequel. It was one of the few sequels where I feel okay, this one, I like this one. I got nothing bad to say about it. I prefer it to exist than not to exist. Even more so because this movie is so thoroughly entertaining. It kind of exists in its own continuity. It's a very minor reboot, but still considers the first 2 movies canon, if that makes sense. Halloween 4 is good. You should watch it. You should really watch it. Halloween 5 is less good, to be honest. The main problem with it is that it focuses so much on bullshit that doesn't matter, at all. I mean, there's good and bad to this movie. The good is maybe half the runtime of the movie is what you came to see. That the continuation of, you know, the game of death between, you know, young Jamie and the aging Michael Myers, who's just hell bent on getting his, you know, his last, you know, heir to whatever DNA he's related to. I don't get it either. But it whatever. I want to see this climactic, you know, finale, right? And Dr. Loomis, oh my God, Dr. Loomis's performance is honestly so great in this movie. To me, it saves the movie a lot. Just making sure we get plenty of Dr. Loomis, and just he's just getting so obsessed. It's driving him insane because he wants to rid the world of this monster that is Michael Myers. And and without spoiling anything, he had, well, who gives a shit? It's a really old movie. You might not even get around to watching it, but basically the way it ends with Loomis, like, just like he shoots Michael with a dart. He's got the little girl and he's like luring Michael into a trap. It's like, come on, you want to kill her? Come on! And it's like, holy shit, Loomis has gone crazy. He's been sniffing too much Flex glue. And then it ends, you know, with him just beating Michael over the head with a bit of wood. And he's just screaming, die! Die, Michael! Die! Like, when I was a kid, I didn't know, like, the sixth movie happened, because they didn't play it on TV back in the day. I thought this is where the canon ends. Like, this was the last Halloween movie that I thought was ever going to exist, right? I mean, like, and then Loomis falls over the unconscious body of Michael, who's clearly not dead, and Loomis, like, looked like he died. Like what a way to kill a character off, like him just dying, just cursing this evil being, like, just, damn you, Michael, die, just die. And then he just, it would have been a perfect way to end the Loomis, you know, character arc. Even if the franchise continued without him, I can't think of a better way for the character to have died, trying his damnedest with his last breath just to rid the world of this evil once and for all, and it still doesn't work. Mwah, what a tragedy. And then imagine if this movie would have ended with, you know, him sitting, you know, Michael sitting in the prison cell, and then the cops saying he'll stay in his cell to the day he dies, and then little Jamie says, he'll never die. Cut. Credits roll. That would have been chilling. That would have been chilling. But we gotta beat this franchise for a little bit more money. Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers happened, and guess what? It's a piece of shit. Both versions, yeah. I know there's another version of it, but you know what? That version sucks too, to be honest. It sucks just as much as the theoretical version. There are some nice things I could say about it, though. One of them being is that you do get some pretty, like, crazy, you know, like, you know, just kills. Like, it's definitely just more of a straight-up slasher movie this time. Michael is just so vicious in this movie, unusually vicious. Like, he just seems more angry and more, like, just hell-bent on just killing everything in sight. I mean, it wouldn't have been a bad angle for this movie, and I think it was supposed to be the movie that finally, like, you know, killed Michael off or whatever. But come on, they've been trying to do this for over a decade now. It's not going to work. And it didn't work because nobody liked this movie, and it failed financially. What do you want for nothing? Overall, and also they brought Dr. Loomis back, so yeah. So pretty much, like, it was a pointless. His character had little to no actual stock in what was happening in the film at all, and it was a waste because this was actually Donald Pleasant's last film before he died, and they absolutely wasted his talents on what is a subpar movie. Also, I got another gripe. They didn't bring Danielle Harris back, and she talked about what this movie was supposed to be. It was supposed to be like a bunch of other cool stuff. Like, Jamie was going to actually start, like, showing signs of being like another, you know, like, boogeyman shaped thing. Like, her uncle Michael was like the whatever evil was in him was going to pass down to her, and it would have been kind of interesting like that, you know what I mean? But none of that came to be. Danielle Harris didn't want nothing to do with this piece of shit, and that's why she wasn't in it. Young Danielle Harris was a great actress at the time, and I mean, I guess she's a good actor now, but she hasn't been doing many good movies lately. I'm sorry, Adam Green, but your movies are funny. They're not really scary. Alright, so Curse of Michael Myers is a piece of shit. We got nowhere to go next. But where do we go next? Let's reboot it again. At this point, we had Halloween, Halloween 2, reboot, Season of the Witch. Now we done went through Halloween 4, 5, Curse of Michael Myers. Now we're on to our second reboot of the franchise, which is Halloween H2O. Or H2O. I don't. It's maybe the dumbest title in the franchise. Like, do we really just need the abbreviation for like water? Like, that's so cool. Oh, it's either way. This is actually one of the better movies in a lot of ways. I mean, it's definitely a good Halloween movie. You get what you paid for. You get Michael Myers, but you also get a returning Laurie Strode, who in this movie, I think this is the best depiction of the character, you know, since the first movie. Laurie Strode is just been through such hell, and she deserves like just revenge. You know, she finally gets it. She finally just, I mean, this movie is really more about like just the finale of just Laurie Strode just conquering the demon that killed all of her friends and who keeps trying to kill her. And in this movie, you rooted for her. She was awesome. I loved it. I loved it so much when she finally just chopped his damn head off. Motherfucker, die! Halloween Resurrection. This movie is pretty much the opposite of H2O, which was a pretty good Halloween movie, and this is a pretty bad Halloween movie. Although I do gotta give credit for the opening sequence. That is the movie I wanted to see. Just, I mean, you can imagine just this asylum, and, you know, she's having to, like, you know, survive in this environment while Michael Myers hunting in this environment. I mean, the irony is kind of spooky, don't you think? Like, basically, like, Michael Myers escaped from an asylum in the first movie, and now he's got to go back to an asylum to fight, you know, Laurie again. Only this time, oh snap, Michael doesn't die, but Laurie dies. Can you think of a more bleaker ending than that? Yeah, the Halloween 4 ending was probably the bleakest ending of the lot, but this one was good too. The only problem is, it wasn't the fucking ending. It was the beginning. It was literally the only reason to watch Halloween Resurrection, because pretty much after that, it's just garbage. Literal garbage. It's garbage like a nice steaming hot McDonald's burger with fries, and it's just bad for you. Although it is really entertaining and funny as hell how Busta Rhymes just fucking beats the shit out of Michael Myers, this unstoppable force who can literally crush a man with his bare hands. Like just his skull, just turn it into muck, and then Busta Rhymes just kicks the shit out. It's more of a parody than anything. And if you look at it like that, I guess it's fun to watch. I definitely have fun watching this movie. But as far as like a horror film that I'm supposed to take seriously, it shits the bed. The first part of the movie was good. And then there's a few really cool shots where those webcams, you know, that they're all wearing, you know, because it's like this weird webcam angle thing that shows, you know, whatever. And you get a few glimpses of Michael and like this analog horror footage thing that's actually pretty cool. Like, I like that a lot. I wish this movie would have went, you know, kind of went that direction. Like, could you imagine like a found footage Halloween movie? That would have been awesome. But no, none of that come to be. It was a lazy, shitty cash grab. and it literally killed the franchise for about a decade until Rob Zombie was given the reins. Halloween remake, third reboot. We're at our third reboot. That's three. And I gotta tell you, this is not as bad a movie as people say it is. I actually, for a remake, and for a remake of Halloween, I think it's really, really good. At a time when remakes were just all the whole craze, Freddy got a remake, Jason got a remake, all these horror remakes are just getting just slammed down our throats, and at least they let a competent director who actually gave a shit about the franchise give it a go. And you know what? I commend Rob Zombie and company for the job they did. They did good. This is every bit as good a film as Rob Zombie has made, and he's made some really good movies, some really bad ones too, but this is definitely in his upper tier. This is a great movie on a production level value. It looks eerie. The character development is definitely like in depth. Like you get a whole new angle on Michael Myers' childhood. It's not the same. Okay, he's not just this epitome of evil that can't be killed. It's more along the line. It's more grounded than that. Literally, just it gets into a territory of almost like realism. The fact that this isn't just like shit you see in movies. It's shit you see in real life. Just this child growing up in a broken home and just kind of retreating into himself more and more, and to the point to where he'll kill anything that tries to attack him from the outside. And that's what it feels like. That's what The Mask feels like. Like it feels like it's just a front for Also couple that with the fact that the kid grew up to be several feet tall, literally like Kane, just walking around killing people. And surprisingly, it's scarier in this movie than an actual horror movie with Kane killing people. So yeah. Overall, I think this was a really good remake, and it was also in itself a really good movie. It's as grisly and dark and just filled with passion and love for the original movie that you just don't see in remakes at all. I feel like Rob Zombie really put his heart into this movie, and I can't say that about the sequel that they made him make. Halloween Remake 2. This is a very, very, very boring movie. Something no Halloween movie should ever be. Something no horror movie should ever be. And it just goes to show that it was nothing but a cash grab, because the first remake was successful, right? It looked like it was a big blockbuster, whatever. And then Harvey Weinstein, the piece of shit, he wanted another one. He wanted to soak in that more moolah. And Rob Zombie, who did not want to make another movie, who was ready to go on to his next movie, was forced into a position to where he had to make another. And he did. And I don't think it could have ever been good, because, just the way the first remake ended, it felt like, okay, that's the way that ends. And the story doesn't make sense. It gets really weird, like the weird subplot where Michael's just seeing his dead mother, like, walking around with a horse for some reason. And then it's like, but there are some good aspects about this movie. I don't think it's totally bad. For instance, I like how it's delving into like the PTSD of all the survivors of the first movie. Like Laurie is just really screwed in the head, nightmares, panic attacks. So is like the surviving, character played by Danielle Harris, which, by the way, it was good to see her come back for this movie, although that character was wasted in a subpar sequel. But they did develop the dynamics between these two characters interestingly. Just the fact that such horror could make people jaded in that way. But also, the depiction of Michael being homeless, I gotta say, was really interesting. I don't think it was as bad as some people, like criticize, like, well, why wouldn't he be like just disappear more completely? And it's like, I don't think so. I mean, what else would he be doing if he wasn't like going on these killing sprees? Probably nothing. Probably just going from town to town, surviving. Just doesn't want nothing from no one. Doesn't say nothing. Just this blank slate, just walking around without a purpose. And I thought that was a really interesting dynamic to play into. I mean, it's terrifying to think that big, tall guy just walking around could be the fucking boogeyman, you know what I mean? And there's some good sequences with Michael Myers in this movie. It still has little spurts of what made Rob Zombie's remake good, but as far as being a coherent and entertaining and a well-made film from beginning to end, it just didn't come together. And it mainly is because Rob and company's heart just wasn't in it. They didn't want to make this movie, and I don't blame them at all. But for what it's worth, I'd say it's okay. That's the nicest thing to say. It's an okay sequel. It's an okay Halloween movie. But it makes me debate if it even deserves to be called a Halloween movie, because, well, I mean, the mask is just like in shatters, and the big moment where Michael actually dies at the end, he doesn't even have the mask on. I mean, it's a weird fucking movie, okay? Halloween 2018, the first of the H4O reboots. It's 4. We've rebooted this franchise officially a record 4 times. I can't think of any other franchise that has done that. Okay, so without complaining too much, I do gotta say I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was one of the best movies they've made in the franchise in decades. It felt like a real and tangibly, believably well done sequel to the first movie, right? Like, it's just a different canon, but it's the same canon. I'm gonna stop trying to explain this weird ass canon, this weird ass timeline, because it doesn't matter anymore. Halloween 2018 was a really good Halloween movie. You get what you paid for, and it's really well done in that regard. Michael Myers looks like he was lifted straight out of the first movie, aged about 40 years. And I tell you, the depiction here is exactly the way it should be. I mean, I really do love how they handle Michael Myers' storyline in this movie. And I also like the way they handle Laurie Strode's storyline in this movie. My buddy Corn would not agree, but hey, I understand where he's coming from. But I really enjoyed this movie. In fact, I wish this would have been the last Halloween movie they made. I wish Kills and Ends did not happen, because it just kind of taints what I thought was well done in this movie. It was clear that there was appreciation for the first one. There was also some new shit. And don't get me wrong, there's some real stupid, dumbass, waste of time scenes in this movie. But it didn't hurt my overall enjoyment of the movie, because you get plenty of what, was advertised. You get one final battle between Laurie, and you get, like, just Michael Myers just looking as just badass as he's ever looked. And, I like the way they handled it for the most part. And the ending was just... I just love that sight. The girls, the survivors, they get Michael locked in this basement, and it had a great little suspenseful moment where the daughter actually outsmarted the boogeyman, just like her mom did all those years ago. And then they're just looking down as the fires are just rising up behind Michael, and he's just looking up at him, just like, oh yeah, you better hope I don't get out of here. You better pray to God I don't get out of here. Just everyone. It made everybody look badass. And to me, if you would have ended it there, of course it's Michael Myers. He's gonna live, but you don't have to just out and say it. You don't have to make a sequel. But this is Halloween. Either way, it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I also especially enjoyed John Carpenter's score. I thought it was amazing. I want him to make more soundtracks. I want him to direct again. Please, John. Halloween Kills was a mixed bag of a movie. I'm 50-50 on it. Half of it's really good, fun. Michael Myers is just like, at this point, he just kind of is Jason. Like, he's done become just completely, like, he kills more people in this movie than any other movie in the franchise. It's fucking crazy, but it's also really fun, too. Damn, you get what you paid for. I keep saying that a lot, lady. I'm sorry. But you also got really dumb subplots that make no sense, like, evil dies tonight. And then literally the whole mob of people who said that literally just get fucking just butchered at the end. So, literally didn't matter. And then you also got this really disturbing, and I don't like it, subplot where a mentally ill person is forced to jump out of a window. And it was really disturbing, and everyone involved in that scene could go fuck themselves. Probably Jamie Lee Curtis wanted that one. She wanted that one. Finally, Halloween ends, and it's literally the dumbest title in the franchise, because there's no fucking way this is where the franchise ends. Literally, everyone called bullshit as soon as the title was revealed. It's not gonna end. If this franchise is gonna pump out money, you're gonna find a way to keep it going. Just hopefully next time they'll be able to do it better justice and a better job than this piece of shit finale did. It literally was so bad, so contrived, such a boring waste of time film that it literally ruins the previous two installments. All right. I I love Halloween 2018. I thought it was a really good movie, successor, continuation, whatever. I liked it. And then Halloween Kills 50-50, but hey, there's still a lot of good moments. Maybe this is all going to play into the grand finale. It's all building up into one final showdown that'll bring this storyline into a thunderous, conclusion, right? No. None of that would come to be. In fact, it pretty much goes downhill as soon as it starts. They develop this random ass character for no reason, and they just follow his life for 40 odd minutes for fucking no reason. And they try so hard to make us feel sorry for him and make his character becoming a killer at the end of the movie or a midway point, just so we would feel. Ooh, it's it reminded me of Joker, Todd Phillips' Joker, which was just you can see why he became the clown and shot the guy at the end. I'd probably gone a killing spree too if I had that guy's life. This fucking clown, Corey Cunningham, just no reason. Well, because some people made fun of you. Because somehow, in just the craziest sequence of things that have got to happen to get the kid that you were babysitting to die, it was insulting. It was insulting as a fan of the franchise, but it's also insulting as just a random passerby of a movie theater. Like, hey, I like movies. I want to watch something on Halloween. Hey, there's no Halloween movie. I'm gonna walk in here and just see this blind. It's such a poor example of both the franchise and a film in its own right. And if you don't think that David Gordon Green has lost his fucking mind after showing great promise in the beginning of his career, then this is the movie you gotta watch to see. And then it gives a lot of continuity to the fact that the recent, Exorcist movie happens. One of the biggest failures in, recent time. Just, this movie was horrible. It was a horrible franchise. It made everybody involved look bad. It literally was a waste of the Michael Myers character. It was a waste of the Laurie Strode character. Because Jamie Lee Curtis, I don't know why, but she fucking sucked in this movie. I mean, the acting was horrible. Everything she said was stupid and made no sense. And it's like we went from like one of the most cherished, character first time being an actress introductions ever, now introducing Laurie Strode in the original Halloween to, god damn, would you just fuck off, Jamie Lee Curtis from the Halloween franchise? Literally, I think they had a little thing on like what David Letterman where they made her sign a contract never to do another one. And it's like, it ain't because the franchise is so bad for Jamie, it's because the fucking Jamie's bad for the franchise. I can't believe it, how bad this movie was. I did a podcast watching it with my buddy Korn, and I was in awe. I can't believe how horrible it was. It killed the franchise for like a third or fourth time. Because if it wasn't for the fact that the first two movies had set up something, what I thought was going to be something good, something, like, holy shit, maybe we're finally going to have 3 solid films in this franchise. And then nothing. We're all set and ready to go for a big finale in the first 2 movies. And then the third movie it wasted all of that build-up, all of the time that I invested in it, and all of everyone else's time they invested in it. And you still got these ass clowns trying to convince me and everyone else that it's a good movie. No, it's not. You see the potential in it, and you know what? I saw the potential in it too, man. The Corey Cunningham character could have worked, but you know why it didn't work? It's because instead of focusing on Corey and Michael Myers' relationship and how that grows, they focused on pretty much anything else. And the ending, oh my god, the actual ending, it was the worst in the franchise. This is the worst movie in the franchise. And that's saying something. You got Busta Rhymes beating the shit out of Michael Myers, and even that isn't as bad as what y'all did. Think about that, David. Anyways, I guess that's my long-winded rant about the whole franchise as a whole. And even though I get mad at the way it ended this time around, I'll still probably tune in like everyone else to see where this train wreck leads us. They'll be good. They'll be fun times. You know what I mean? If you're looking for some Halloween, fiction to hold you over, check out the comic books. I hear the comic books are really good. I would like to read some myself. Also, an author named Jake Martin just released a novelization of the 5th movie. I think he should totally make more novelizations, Jake Martin, if you find the time. I also would like to shout out my buddy Korn from Korn on the Pod, and I think he could, I'd like to know his opinion on my little list too, see if he'd agreed. Anyways, that's it. See ya.